and so many topics are discussed, and it just nourishes us spiritually. And yeah, it's a very nice, kind of start to the week. And yeah, it just prepares our consciousness for the remaining, 5 days of the week. So yeah, thank you for joining again. And we are discussing the pastime of Chitraketu Maharaj, um, a very important pastime, sixth canto. And yeah, I'll just say prayers and then a little bit of background, and then we'll start off with the verses one by one. So Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam panghum langhayate girim yatkripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. So, Maharaj Chitraketu's pastime starts with an apparently material desire to have a child, and we churned in the initial parts how that this desire was so strong in the mind of Chitraketu that he had everything else that is required for a comfortable life. But because of this one lacking in his life, he was completely morose, and he, because of not having this one thing, the other things that were there failed to give him any happiness and satisfaction. So he was yearning for a child, and how Angira Muni intervened and blessed him with the child Harsha Shoka, who was destined to bring him a lot of happiness as well as distress. And the happiness part didn't last long, unfortunately, because again, the theme of envy that we discussed, the envy of the other wives of Chitraketu, other than Kritadyuti, who became jealous of Kritadyuti, and they developed a kind of hatred towards the son, and they plotted to kill him, and they poisoned him to kill him. And then we are at the part where the child is dead, and we saw how graphically Bhagavatam explains the kind of emotions that the parents are going through by seeing their child pass away. So very painful thing. And one of the points we discussed, how when it comes to material pleasures or material pursuits, the more we are attached to something, the our disappointment when that thing taken away is proportional to how much we attach, how much attached we were to that thing. So similarly, the child brought so much happiness to Chitraketu and his wife that when he passed away, they are behaving like madmen. And now we are at the point in the pastime where Chitraketu is somewhat pacified, not completely pacified, somewhat pacified. And Angira Muni has started speaking from last section we were reading, where he identifies himself and introduces Narad Muni in the picture, and this is where the actual message of Angira Muni and Narad Muni starts, and this is the turning point, you can say, in the pastime, where Chitraketu, from being the attached, maddened king, is now reviving his true nature as being a great devotee, as alluded to by Angira Muni, where he says that you know Chitraketu was a great devotee, but because of this material attachment, he has become like this. So, my dear king, you are an advanced devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To be absorbed in lamentation for the loss of something material is unsuitable for a person like you. Therefore, we have both come to relieve you from this false lamentation, which is due to your being merged in the darkness of ignorance. For those who are advanced in spiritual knowledge, to be affected by material loss and gain is not at all desirable. So there is a little bit of rebuke here as well, not like full-fledged rebuke, not the way Krishna, rebukes Arjuna in the beginning. Ashuchananva shochastvam padnyavadam shabhashase gatasu nagatasum sham nanu shochanti panditaha. Like the this is the verse where in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna starts speaking to Arjuna, and the first thing he does is chastises Arjuna that you are speaking nonsense while speaking the words of a knowledgeable person. You are actually behaving foolishly. Ashochan anvashochastam pradnyavadam shabhasase. So like that, and then slowly Angira Muni starts talking about philosophy, talking about the dreamlike state of material life that is will be described in more detail in today's section. So that was a little bit of background, and we are supposed to start with 6:15:24, and we'll go by the sequence of sign up here. So, Nupur, you can go first if you don't mind.
Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. Text 24. Drishyamana vinarthena na drishyante manubhava karmabhirdhaya tunana karmani manaso abhavan. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. These visible objects like wife, children, and property are like dreams and mental concoctions. Actually, what we see has no permanent existence. It is sometimes seen and sometimes not. Only because of our past actions do we create such mental concoctions. And because of these concoctions, we perform further activities. Purport: everything material is a mental concoction because it is sometimes visible and sometimes not. At night, when we dream of tigers and snakes, they are not actually present, but we are afraid because we are affected by what we envision in our dreams. Everything material is like a dream because it actually has no permanent existence. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes as follows in his commentary. Arthena Vayagara Sarpadina Vinaiva Drishyamana Swapnadi Bhange Sati Na Drishyante Tad evam daradayo avastav vastu bhuta swapnadayo avastu bhutas cha sarve mano vasana janya twan manobhava. At night, one dreams of tigers and snakes, and while dreaming, he actually sees them. But as soon as the dream is broken, they no longer exist. Similarly, the material world is a creation of our mental concoctions. We have come to this material world to enjoy material resources, and by mental concoctions, we discover many objects of enjoyment because our minds are absorbed in material things. This is why we receive various bodies. According to our mental concoctions, we work in various ways, desiring various achievements, and by nature and the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Karmana Daiva Netrena, we get the advantages we desire. Thus, we become more and more involved with material concoctions, this is the reason for our suffering in the material world. By one kind of activity, we create another, and they are all products of our mental concoctions. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
So,
Nupur. Sorry,
yes,
yeah.
Guruji.
Please reflect on this. Yes.
So Guruji, this reminds me of the movie which I yesterday watched, The Matrix, and these mental concoctions. It reminds me of how they have described the Matrix in the movie. So basically, the illusion, the material world around us. So as Srila Prabhupada here says, that everything material is a mental concoction, and because it is sometimes visible and sometimes not. Similarly, he mentions, like in Bhagavad Gita 2.55, material concoction, mental concoction has been talked about there as well. So in the translation, the Supreme Personality of Lordhead says, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of sense desire which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Yes, Ruji. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is telling, like, even Krishna is telling in this verse, and Srila Prabhupada is further explaining on that, how we can get away from the mental concoction by taking refuge in Krishna. Like, if we take the refuge in our own mental concoctions, we are going to stay in this material world. We are going to be trapped in this repeated cycle of birth and death. So it is said here, like Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, it is rightly said herein that one has to give up all kinds of sense desire manufactured by mental concoctions. And even though, like, practically, if we talk, Srila Prabhupada further says, artificially such sense desires, they cannot be stopped. But if one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, then automatically sense desires subside without extraneous efforts. So even in dreams, like he has talked about, like we in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, like we see tigers, we see snakes. So somewhere and somehow, I think it's due to our subconscious. And if we continuously stay in Krishna consciousness, we do dream of Krishna and we do dream of things related to Krishna. So ultimately, it all comes to continuously engaging in Krishna consciousness. So yes, Ramji, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Beautiful, Ma. This was so nice. And I'm really so happy and inspired how you took this term mental concoction and you rightly went to Bhagavad Gita 2.55, where Krishna talks about exactly this, Sarvan Partha Manogatan. So, yeah, thank you so much. Very nice reflection. Anyone else wants to reflect on this verse?
Oh yeah, I want to say something on this.
Yes, please.
This line really appealed to me. We get the advantages we desire, and thus we become more and more involved with material concoctions. Prabhupada, how clearly Prabhupada puts the real problem that even getting material advantages is eventually it's just gonna add more concoction and more entanglement in material world. So that is it says, like, even pap and punya both are ultimately pap, and it will entangle us in material life if we are not into Krishna consciousness. So it's again highlighted here. Yeah, makes a lot of sense in this situation.
Yeah, it reminds me of the gambling. Someone raised there. Oh, Mega Mata event. So in the casinos, the way people get hooked on is they win initially. There is some material gain, and then because they win, they hope that they will win more. But then when they engage more, they become so attached that they, even after they start losing, they feel that I might win, in the next game. So that's how they are bound. So yeah, even we are also in one sense in a gambling match. Gambling, like we gamble through our mental concoctions. And as you rightly pointed out, Vamsidhar Gopal Prabhu, we get certain advantages, we get certain profits, and then we get even more entangled. And although we choose to overlook the problems, but the problems do exist. The disadvantages do exist. The flip side does happen. Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. It's a world of dvandva, it's a world of duality. Everything comes with a flip side to it. And yeah, we tend to neglect the flip side, or we want to deny the flip side and just take the good thing. But then it often so happens that we are in a situation where we have to confront the flip side also. And yeah, and that's how the cycle goes on. Yeah. Purusha prakritisto hi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmasu. Prabhupada writes that this is why we receive, various bodies. We have come to this material world to enjoy material, and by mental concoction, we discover many, many objects of enjoyment because our minds are absorbed in material things. That is why we receive various bodies. So yeah, it is said that the next body that we are going to get is actually already decided through the way we have mentally cultivated ourselves. So the subtle body suitable for the next gross body is already created at the time of death. So material nature just does the task of fitting it into the correct gross body. So yeah. So and also this verse points out a very important thing, which is a little different from the Advaitic conception, where we say that where in the Advaitins say that the world is like an illusion. It is illusion in the true sense of the term. That is, there is no reality to it. But here Prabhupada is uh, clearly pointing out that these visible objects like wife, children, and property are like dreams and mental concoctions. Actually, what we see has no permanent existence. It is sometimes seen and sometimes not. So, in this way, Prabhupada is clearly pointing out the Vaishnava point of view that although these things that might be real, but they are dreams and mental concoctions in the sense that they don't have any permanent existence. So that is also one thing in the verse. So if anyone else has any reflections here, please go ahead. Yes, Mataji, Nityakishori Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Yeah, so just wanted to I really love this discussion about how we can we perform mental concoction. And I just wanted to throw some light on how we as, aspiring devotees view our spouse, like wife, children, and property. It's not that we neglect them and consider them as a dream or maya, that is just one school of thought, like Jagannath Gopal Prabhu said. But behind every person there is, inside every person there is a soul that is, for which we have a common spiritual identity that we tend to connect every soul to Krishna. So if we see, so this mental concoction arises when we see from a bodily perspective. But when we see that every soul has its origin with Krishna, and Krishna resides as a Paramatma in every soul, and we connect in that identity, then it becomes spiritual, and it's not no more a mental concoction. It's not that we neglect our, all our bodily material things. It is not like that, but we somehow connect it and see beyond what the eyes meet, and see the super soul Paramatma lying in every atom, every person, every object that we are supposedly possessing at in this lifetime. And see that how we can dovetail all our actions, all our connections, relationships, all our attachments to Krishna. wanted to highlight that. It's not
Yeah,
that we,
definitely. Sorry, yeah.
yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, a very important point you raised, Mataji. It's very important. I've seen devotees who they start practicing Krishna consciousness. I'm not even talking about Mayavad. They start practicing Krishna consciousness, and they feel that their family, is a stumbling block in their practice, and through their fanaticism, they try to cultivate, in that fanatic way, their family into Krishna consciousness. But that doesn't work. It doesn't work with everyone. And then I know I've interacted with a devotee who was so, in a way fanatic that his wife and kid, they eventually moved out from the home, and they went to her, like the wife's maiden home. They, just started living there, and this Prabhuji was living in the temple, and he was feeling that he's doing a great thing. And yeah, so it's sometimes that conception comes up, definitely. And yeah, even uh, yeah, we have to be Krishna consciousness is not supposed to make us hard-hearted. We've like heard this more and over again before also, because if we don't have a soft heart for those people who are around us, how are we going to welcome Krishna in our heart? How can the heart be fertile enough to, for Krishna to reside in it? And we in our preaching, or we tell everyone that we should see the spirit soul, the spark of spiritual light in everyone. Even Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Swapake Cha Panditaha Samadarshina. Should see that spiritual spark in everybody. That is a Pandita. The elephant, the dog eater, the Brahmana, the cow, etc. in everyone. So why not in the family members? So even that spiritual spark is there in them as well. So definitely, we have to see it like that. I mean, this is a little funny, and I don't know how true that is. And but we in our Nityanand Sabha guidance, they used to tell us that if you keep on thinking that your wife is Maya, your wife is Maya, if you keep on thinking like that, then your wife will actually be Maya. She will actually be a stumbling block in your Krishna consciousness. If you keep thinking, this wife, stumbling block, then you keep obsessing with that thought, then that will actually, what will end up happening. That's actually what will end up happening. And on the other hand, if you see your wife, your spouse as a partner in Krishna consciousness, then that is a much better conception. And by your love, by your care, you both can go towards Krishna, along with your family, like that. So
A very,
yeah,
very beautiful point. It works even if the spouse is not Krishna consciousness.
exactly.
Or
Yeah.
yes, definitely. I think Gauranga Prabhu wants to do, and then I want to tell just an analogy
Oh,
later.
go ahead. Please finish your train of thought and call it.
So just a small analogy in this. I read this and I thought it was very beautiful. So one person was just walking on the daily walk, and he saw an old man, like a retired, maybe 70s. He was picking up small flowers from the ground that is fallen from the tree, and every day he takes them, and then one day he follows and see what he's doing with his flowers. He goes to his temple in his house, small altar, and offers the flowers to the fallen flowers to the deities at his home. And this man who was observing this, he was astonished. Why would anybody pick a fallen flower that is fallen from the tree and touched the ground? Is normally we don't pick them. We pick fresh flowers for the Lord and offer to the deities. So he was surprised, and he asked that to that old man, and then the old man response was that these fallen flowers are in their last final stage, of their existence. And I'm just helping the flowers fulfill their purpose of being with God in their last days. So, and so this kind of, so if we see, when we also go and normally what I do is when I shop for like apples or fruits to be offered to Krishna, I always look for perfect sized apples and perfectly, like not even one dot or any rotten thing or any mark in that apples, and perfectly shaped and stuff. But after Radha Kripa was born, I was that changed my mentality towards the perfection, actually. Why not these other deformed, or they are perfectly juicy as the regular good looking apples? Why not these also get offered and get their mercy and from Krishna? So in every way we can actually serve and connect, as long as we are in the mood to connect whoever we see, whatever we do, to Krishna. I think that is the essence of this Krishna consciousness itself. Be it any small thing that we do. I just thought of this story that I read.
That is a beautiful point, Mataji. And it reminds me of the fact that it's not the thing that Krishna sees, it's the intention. So although we might offer, a not so fresh flower in a sense, but if we offer it with devotion, then that flower is as fresh for Krishna as the flower that is actually fresh, because our devotion in offering him is fresh. So
Yeah, great point as well.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Gaurakumar Prabhu, you had something to share.
Yeah, so just wanted to add to what I had told last week about some of these verses being heavy or focusing on renunciation. So the Bhagavatam's main emphasis is renunciation. That is why in every canto, you will see these verses in a very strong way, that wife, children, property, they're all dreams, and that we must give them up and so on. So this week I just did some reading and some analysis, and I found that every canto, like starting from third canto, I'll just very quickly tell some examples. In the third canto, Kapila Muni, he's telling his mother Devahuti, and his focus, even though it's Sankhya philosophy, he emphasizes detachment and renunciation. In the fourth canto, Narad Muni is teaching King Prachani Barhi, and he's also talking completely about renunciation using the examples of the Navayogendras. In the fifth canto, we again hear about renunciation completely. Again, Narad Muni continues to teach Prachani Barhi about the principles of detachment, renunciation. Like that, in the sixth canto again, seventh canto, Prahlad Maharaj, he's teaching his school friends about renunciation. He says, this whole place is Maya, come on, just give this up, And like that, every canto I was able to find strong verses. And even the 11th canto, for example, 11th canto, Krishna in the Uddhav Gita, the emphasis is on renunciation. He's telling Uddhava that you must renounce everything. But the same Krishna told Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita to fight. So the emphasis of the Bhagavatam is renunciation. I remember in my own personal example, when I was in the Brahmacharya ashram, and when I was thinking whether I should join the ashram or whether I should get married, everyone would ask me, haven't you read Srimad Bhagavatam? Haven't you read Srimad Bhagavatam? The emphasis is renunciation. What are you doing? Why are you even getting these doubts? But I just wanted to mention this, and I wanted everyone to understand that there is a context, there's a theme that is going on here, because the entire Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken to someone who is about to die in 7 days. So the focus, the theme is renunciation, so that he is able to give up everything and then move on to the spiritual world. So that doesn't mean that we neglect the Bhagavad Gita, which talks about actions. I just wanted to put that in context here. So it's not that, we misinterpret these verses. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's very interesting. You mentioned Prahlad Maharaj also. I was listening to the Bhagavad Shravan at Bhakti Center this weekend. This Sunday, and this Prahlad Maharaj gives so many instructions to his classmates and to his father. So many beautiful verses he speaks about, and he also actually specifically mentions about attachment to wife, home, children. These that famous verse. Naivodvijay Paraduratyaya Vaikaranyas, right? Twadvirya Mahamrita Magna Chitta Maya Sukhaya Param Udvahato Vimudhan, right? So Prahlad Maharaj is saying, I'm worried for those who are, entangled in maintaining their families, wives, children, etc. But interestingly, the same Prahlad Maharaj then gets married. He gets married. He has a son, Virochan, who has a son who is the great Bali Maharaj. So both the grandfather and grandson are Mahajanas. So if we were to take it literally, then Prahlad Maharaj is clearly contradicting himself. If we were to take his words literally, in the literal sense, don't be attached to family life. Then why did Prahlad Maharaj even get married? As a 5-year-old, was he just blabbering something? So definitely not. So the attached household life is what is emphasized, and as you mentioned, there is this recurring theme in the Bhagavatam because of its context that things have to be given up for the higher purpose. So yeah, thank you very much for that clarification. So otherwise, we end up taking these verses in a narrow-minded way, and so I remember one example. I just say this, and we'll move on to the next verse. So there is one senior counselor in Pune, and one day he was at a stall during Janmashtami. That stall was Q&A stall. Like anybody has any question, they can just go and ask the devotees at that stall. So he was at that stall, and one boy particularly, he was asking very challenging questions and in a very challenging spirit. A lot of back and forth happened. He was not ready to, he was countering, and finally this Prabhu, he sat down with him after everything, and then he asked. So he asked about his background, which college you're studying in, etc., etc. And then then that boy started opening up. So apparently he used to practice bhakti just a few months or years ago, from that Janmashtami, like before that Janmashtami, he used to practice Krishna consciousness, and I think he had also moved to live with devotees. And then one day what happened was, his mother fell sick, and there was a festival in temple that day. And then he went to his mentor and he said, look, my mother is sick, I need to immediately leave for my hometown, we there to take care of her. And that mentor, foolishly he said, you're missing this nice festival for Krishna and going and taking care of your material family. And this is what ticked him off completely. He left Krishna consciousness, he left everything, and then after a few months and years, he ended up coming to the temple during Janmashtami and questioning this Prabhu. So that time, this Prabhuji was mentioning to us how we can take something in a narrow-minded way and mess everything up. And yeah, so that devotee, that mentor, clearly pushed this devotee away from Krishna through his so-called detached conception of Shastras. So, which is clearly not the purpose of the Shastras to begin with. So, yeah. Any other reflections? Okay. There is one point also the same. Prahlad Maharaj rules for thousands of years. Yeah. Definitely, he rules. He's talking about detachment from all these things, but then he's ending up doing all these things in an external sense, definitely. So next one, 25th verse from Sridhar Gopal Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. अयम हि देहिनो देहो द्रव्य ज्ञान क्रियात्मकः देहिनो विविध क्लेश संताप कृद उदाहृत. The living entity in the bodily conception of life is absorbed in the body, which is a combination of a physical elements, the five senses of gathering knowledge, and the five senses of action, along with the mind. Through the mind, the living entity suffers three kinds of tribulations: Adhibhautika, Adhidaivika, and Adhyatmika. Therefore, this body is a source of all miseries. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In the fifth canto, 5.5.4, while instructing his sons, Rishabdev said, Asanna api kleshad asa deha. The body, although temporary, is the cause of all the miseries of material existence. As already discussed in the previous verse, the entire material creation is based on mental concoction. The mind sometimes induces us to think that if we purchase an automobile, we can enjoy the physical elements such as earth, water, air, and fire combined in forms of iron, plastic, petrol, and so on. Working with the five material elements, Panchabhutas, as well as with our five knowledge gathering senses like the eyes, ears, tongue, and our five active senses like hands and legs, we become involved in the material condition. Thus, we are subjected to tribulations known as Adhyatmika, Adhidaivika, and Adhibhautika. The mind is center because the mind creates all these things. As soon as the material object is struck, however, the mind is affected and we suffer. For example, with the material elements, the working senses and knowledge gathering senses, we create a very nice car. And when the car is accidentally smashed in a collision, the mind suffers. And through the mind, the living entity suffers. The fact is that the living entity, while concocting with the mind, creates the material condition because matter is destructible. Through the material condition, the living entity suffers. Otherwise, the living entity is detached from all material conditions. When one comes to the Brahman platform, the platform of spiritual life, fully understanding that he is a spiritual soul, Aham Brahmasmi, he is no longer affected by lamentation or hankering. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma no shochati no kangshati. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 15.7, the Lord says, Mamai Vansho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha Mana Shashtani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. The living entity is actually part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is unaffected by material conditions. But because the mind, mana, is affected, the senses are affected and the living entity struggles for existence within this material world.
Thank you, Prabhu. Please reflect on this.
Yes, Prabhu, like a lot of points in this purport and the translation, and I feel like it's like a continue. I mean, it's very like it's in flow with the previous verse, and the discussion that we had, like that this the previous verse called this your house, wife, your family as illusion, and then. But as you just very aptly mentioned, you Mataji and Prabhu, that this needs to be taken in the right perspective, right context. That it's here we are talking about tattva, like the principle behind this material life, and how it ultimately leads to sorrow or like degradation if we are not aware of its nature and how we should and why we should involve ourselves in Krishna consciousness, become devotees of Krishna, and what will happen if we are just attached to material life, and then all the other things, material things, will become just source of miseries for us. I remember verse from Bhaj Govindam that यावद्वितोपार्जन शक्तः स्थावन निज परिवारो रक्तः पश्चात जीवति जर्जर देहे वार्ता कोपि न पृच्छति गेहे. So in that verse, Adi Shankaracharya is saying that uh, until we have until we have energy, we are well to do, our family, our people close to us, even your wife, they will be affectionate towards you. But as soon as you become invalid, you are not able to do many things, you are not able to make money, they won't bother. Like yaवद् parjan shakta स्थावन निज परिवारो रक्तः. The Rakta Sambandhis will be worried about you when you are well to do, but Paschat Jivati Jarjar Dehe, once the body becomes invalid, they won't be worried that much about you. So uh, I still remember, like when we used to go my village, or I'll be seeing like many old people just sitting in front of their house and just waiting for the morning and evening meal, and then just keep sitting. That's the whole. At one point they were like us, young, enthusiastic, ready to get in action, doing many things, earning money, helping people, being the karta of for their house. Everyone was listening to them. And now at later point of time, like their existence even doesn't matter. So that doesn't mean that we start hating our family or start hating our spouse because this is going to happen. No, it's about, it's in general dvandva mohena bharata, right? As Prabhuji was mentioning the verse, it's dvandva mohena bharata. It's just nature of this material world. The everything is supposed to decay and degrade. Even the great, I mean, leave the material world, but even these great spiritual movements like the Gaudiya Math that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur started, and the ISKCON which Srila Prabhupada started, they also had up and downs. So how about this is the nature of the material world, so Prabhupada, I remember a purport from second canto where Prabhupada says that Prabhupada, that whole purport is about difference between Griha Medhi and Grihasthas. That Griha Medhi, the word Medhi means one who is envious. So Griha Medhis are Grihasthas, they are married people with family, but they are always envious about other Griha Medhis. That he has that, he has this, and I don't have this. This is better. This is good. I should get that. So they're, everything just creates envy and jealousy in them, and they try to settle themselves better and better in the material world. But the end result is hitvatma patam griham andhakupam. So they end up falling into the dark well of material world. And then on the other hand, Srila Prabhupada explains that grihastha, they are also exactly similar lives. They also have exactly all the same things as Griha Medhis, but the only difference is they are trying to utilize that in Krishna's service. They see that their relatives and their children, their spouse, in as the servants of Krishna, as a responsibility given by Krishna to them. And then in that way everything turns out positive, and then their material life is also success there, and they, at the end of the life, they will go back to Krishna. This classic example of this is, I think, the Shivananda Sen had like 4 kids, I think. And when Mahaprabhu came to his house, Shivananda Sen was Grihastha, and one of the many elevated Parshada, Gaura Parshadas, and he used to render all the services for the devotees traveling from Mayapur to Jagannath Puri. And one day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to his place, and his wife was pregnant. She bowed down to Mahaprabhu and he blessed her and suggested some names for the kids who will be born. He's told that the boy is going to born and please name him this. So Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu was so merciful. There are so many pastimes between Shivananda Sen and Nityananda Prabhu that one day Shivananda Sen he wasn't able to make some lunch arrangements for Nityananda Prabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu kicked him on the chest. He had so much affection for him. In the pastime turns out like that. So like whoever trying to serve Krishna, grihe thako vane thako sada Krishna bole dako. Whoever is trying to serve Krishna, who is trying to practice bhakti, is very dear to Mahaprabhu and Shri Radha Krishna. So in the same way, it's just this verse is also talking about, like, if we are only materially attached, then we will be crushed by this Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adhyatmik until we die, and then end up taking some lower species of life in the next birth. So just understanding, we don't like, it's not about giving up anything or acting vehemently that I should not pay attention to my loved ones, I should not do this, nothing like that. It's just in the mind we have to we need to reflect on that. Okay, what is the tattva behind thing and how to look at them in right perspective. Yeah, I think yes, Prabhu, that's what I wanted to say. Please correct if anything here and there.
No, this was perfect, Prabhu. Very beautifully shared. Very beautiful. Thank you so much. You covered so many nice aspects of this verse, and you connected it to the positive aspect of bhakti as well. Very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else has any reflections on this? So one more small point, and we'll move ahead. So this 15.7 Bhagavad Gita, Mamayivamsho Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, is a direct attack on Mayavad. Can anyone tell how?
Yeah.
Some interesting faith testing stuff.
Sanatana and Shara. There is no chance of merging. It's in
Yeah,
different
spot on.
permanent.
Yeah. Yes. So that is the understanding. So Mamayuva Amsha, we are Amshas of the Lord eternally. So this means that there is no merging that happens. As per what I mean, there is no merging that happens, and this merging philosophy is propounded by the Mayavadis. So anyway, yeah, I hope when my faith gets tested, I can remember this, and I hope that you all remind me as well. So next is Kameshwar Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. I'll read, I think in 626.
Yes, Prabhu.
Tasmat swastena manasa vimushya gatim atmanaha dvaite dhruvartha visrambham tajopashamam avisha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Therefore, O King Chitraketu, carefully consider the position of Atma. In other words, try to this is not completely visible, this translation. Yeah, no, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, therefore, O King Chitraketu, carefully consider the position of the Atma. In other words, try to understand that your whether body, mind, or soul. Consider where you have come from, where you are going after giving up this body, and why you are under the control of material lamentation. Try to understand your real position in this way, and then you will be able to give up your unnecessary attachment. You will also be able to give up the belief that this material world or anything not directly in touch with the service to Krishna is eternal. Thus, this other part is not visible to
Mm. Is this better? I don't know.
Yeah, no, okay.
What I should
Thus
do.
you will attain peace. Thus you will obtain peace. That's the last
Obtain
line.
peace. Yeah.
Thus you will obtain peace. Yeah, purport, can you see, Kameshwar?
Purport, yeah. The Krishna purport is okay. I'm able to see. The Krishna consciousness movement is factually endeavoring to bring human society into a sober condition. Because of a misdirected civilization, people are jumping in materialistic life like like cats and dogs, performing all sorts of abominable sinful actions and becoming increasingly entangled. The Krishna consciousness movement includes self-realization because one is first directed by Lord Krishna to understand that one is not the body but the owner of the body. When one understands this simple fact, he can direct himself towards the goal of life. Because people are not educated in terms of the goal of life, they are working like madmen and becoming more and more attached to the material atmosphere. The misguided man accepts the material condition as everlasting. One must give up his faith in material things and give up attachment for them. Then one will be sober and peaceful. Yeah,
Yes,
this
Prabhu,
is
please reflect.
yeah, nice purport by Prabhu. Actually, he's telling about the Dehatma Bhava, the body consciousness, like, I am this body. So this is the reason for all the lamentation and hankering in this material world. So we need to consider as owner of this body. So, and also, I think yesterday Gopal shared that in the group about the body. Body is already dead, but only because of soul it is having movements and all. So like that, suppose if you consider in your car, our car, suppose if a car goes bad, car deads, like, the soul has to, I mean, like, the driver has to come out, like, so, and take care of it, like. So the same thing, like, sometimes it happens, like, suppose we are some patients, they say that he is in coma or his brain dead. So that is situation. The body has gone, but still soul is there. This is special case, like our car is suddenly broke down. Car has gone, but still we are inside. So car has completely gone, and it is major problem came, or the engine completely damaged, but still driver is inside. So after that he has to come out anyway. Like after realizing that the body is nowhere, it is not, car is not anymore going to move, he has to come out. So like that, as long as the soul is there, the body will be having movement. But in just remember that one of our Bhakti Shastri classes, when this question came up, like, what happens when a person is in coma, deep coma, or his doctors say that his brain is dead, but still he is alive. So in that case, we may think that, okay, why, like, no, because of soul only, soul still there, but why body is not active? So that is a special case where I just mentioned, like, about a car. So suddenly, if the car breaks down completely, soul will be there for some time, and then it comes out, like the driver will comes out, like that, in the same way. So this discussion almost like the whole class we went on, like somebody is telling different propositions and all, but finally we came to a consciousness, like opinion, like this happens a special case where the body dead in the sense already it is a dead body, but sometimes it happens in such a way that before soul comes out, it will completely become inactive. So that means yeah, because of the soul presence only, it is still there completely. Doctor will not declare that it is dead. They say that brain dead and body, like, still he is alive. They will put it on a ventilator or something like that. So the same thing here, Prabhupada's this philosophy he is telling, like, Narada Muni and Angir Muni, they are giving very nice points to Chitraketu, and slowly they're making him to accept the reality and the real philosophy they are giving, timely philosophy, so that they will understand the temporariness of this body, and they are trying to bring him up out of this lamentation. So this is what I wanted to add, Prabhuji. The others can add now.
Thank you, Babuji. Very nice reflections on. There is an interesting example of a person. This is a true story where this person, something, I think he gets shot in the head or something. No. He's a kid. I think he gets shot or something happens, but half of his brain has to be removed. I think that was the case, or he was born only with half the brain. But still, he actually ended up getting a PhD in mathematics. So, one might wonder how come this is happening. So clearly the intelligence comes from something outside the brain, and the brain is a vehicle for that intelligence to manifest itself. So just like in a radio, if a radio is all messed up, then there is some kir awas coming, right? That sound is coming. But just because that sound is coming, the clear radio waves are not being heard, doesn't mean the source of the radio waves does not exist. The source exists, but just because the apparatus is so damaged that sound cannot be transmitted properly to the source. And even in stroke patients, when my mother had a stroke 2 years ago, I was reading up about it, and it is very interesting. In stroke patients, what happens is the part of the brain gets somehow damaged, and the action that part of the brain handles, that action becomes like the person cannot do that action. For instance, if the part of the brain that controls the right hand is damaged, then the person won't be able to use the right hand. The right hand is paralyzed, right? Now, interestingly, what happens in the therapy for these stroke patients, what they do is they train the brain of this patient to do the work of controlling the right hand with some other part of the brain. So they train through therapy. They train the patient through therapy, and in many cases, what happens is the stroke patient actually is able to gain a lot of control over the part which had lost control. So this clearly means that there is something beyond the brain that is inducing the person to do this, to control some part of the body with the part of the brain that was not the case earlier. So like that, it is all these examples essentially go to show that the brain is a vital tool for sure. I mean, nothing can exist without that. And I mean, in terms of the body, but the brain is ultimately a transmitter rather than the source of things like desires, things like intelligence and things like that. So very interesting stuff there. Any other reflections here? Yeah. Okay, moving on. So 6:15:27. So we'll circle back to Nupur.
Srinarad Uvacha Eta Mantropnishadam Praticcha Prayato Mama Yam Dharayan Saptaratrat Drashta Sankarshanam Vibhum. Translation. The great sage Narad continued, "My dear king, attentively receive from me a mantra which is most auspicious. After accepting it from me, in 7 nights you will be able to see the Lord face to face." Hare Krishna.
You can read the next one also, because this didn't have a purport.
Okay, Prabhupada. Text 28. Yat padmulam upashritya Narendra Purve Sarvadayo Brahmam Imam Dvityam Visirjaya Satyastadiyam atulnadikam mahitvam prapurбhavanapi param na chiradupayati. Translation: My dear king, in former days, Lord Shiva and other demigods took shelter of the lotus feet of Shankarsana. Thus, they immediately got free from the illusion of duality and achieved unequaled and unsurpassed glories in spiritual life. You will very soon attain that very same position. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of 6th canto, 15th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Saints Narad and Angira Instructs King Chitraketu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Ma. You want to reflect on these two? And did you notice also that I don't know, is this the verse that Narad Muni is referring to in the previous verse? Because when I read this, I thought the actual verse that Narad Muni is saying is not mentioned, right?
Yes, Guruji, he said that he is going to give the mantra.
Yeah. Because the next chapter, then I think the theme changes there. He, brings back the dead child to life, and the child preaches to the father and things like that. So that, yeah, I don't know. The other devotees, do you have any ideas? That verse is not mentioned here. I mean, maybe it's a secret mantra or something. Maybe if they would have put here in Bhagavatam, then by next Tuesday, all of us would have seen the Lord face to face.
Yeah, for sure that the last verse doesn't look like a
Yeah.
mantra.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good observation, Prabhu. Yes, I would definitely love to see the mantra. Just in case we may want to do this 27 also to see if that works.
Sorry, if you want to do what, Pataji?
The last verse, just in case we can just recite.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that could be the mantra.
Yeah, that's what.
No, I'm just kidding. I
In the
don't know.
former days, Lord Shiva. Yeah, I don't know. But the secret mantra, I guess, is related to Sankarshan.
So,
So,
Prabhu, can you open 4853, please? 4853. This is Narad Muni instructing Dhruva Maharaj. This is a parallel actually. He says, I'll give you a mantra, if you chant, you'll see the Lord face to face.
actually, yeah, which is.
So this one, the mantra is mentioned, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay.
So, yeah, so this is 54. Yeah. This one, yeah. So one should install, okay. Chanting of this mantra, one should offer flowers and fruits. Yeah, but this should be done in consideration of time present. Yes, but I think the previous verse, maybe he says that one who carefully chants this mantra for 7 nights can see the perfect human beings flying in the sky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is the mantra, that is for sure.
Yes, that's the mantra. In that
Yeah.
here the mantra is not mentioned in the context that we are reading today.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. So Narad Muni is that guru who gives these mantras in which one can see the Lord in 7 days, 7 nights.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even for Dhruva Maharaj, he gives the same mantra.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, 4-8 is Dhruva Maharaj.
Yeah.
This is Dhruva Maharaj.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yeah. One who carefully chants those 7 nights can see perfect human beings flying in the sky. Wow. Yeah, this is such a lofty this thing. Yeah, of course, the word carefully.
Does it mean that we will start seeing Narad Muni and Parvat Muni?
It is
But
possible.
Dhruva took months though, 6 months.
Yeah, it took 6
Yeah.
months.
Yeah, it is
But that effect must have started after a week only, right? Isn't it? And he progresses through.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Nice.
Here we have action item.
And if you go to 57, Prabhuji, sorry, just yeah, 4857. So
It
there
will be a
57,
nice
okay.
research item for all of the researchers in this group.
yeah, so it says here, my dear Dhruva, besides worshipping the deity and chanting the mantra 3 times a day, you should meditate upon the transcendental activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his different incarnations as exhibited by his supreme will and personal potencies. So here clearly 3 things are mentioned here. Worship the Lord in deity form, chant the mantra, and then meditate upon the transcendental activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just yesterday, I was listening to a class by Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj, and he was mentioning these 3 things only. If you can just do these 3 things, worship and the deity in the deity form, worship the Lord in the deity form, chant the mantras and the Hare Krishna mantra, and then we should always keep meditating on the pastimes of the Lord. Always keep meditating on the pastimes of the Lord. And if you just do these 3 things, then eventually our goal is fixed. Our goal is surely Krishna.
I think that's the reason in Bhagavatam classes they say this mantra thrice in the beginning. No, like Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thrice they say.
Yes.
Oh, great point. Wow.
Great
Yeah.
point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, very nice.
Yes, I'll try to say carefully from next time whenever I attend Bhagavatam class.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, we can continue, bro.
yeah. Anyway, so that mantra is a mystery. So 2 mysteries so far in this pastime. One is why did Angira Muni and Narada Muni come in disguise? And the second mystery is what is the mantra?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
it's 9:52. Maybe we can do one verse or something.
Yes, bro. We can do one verse. Yeah.
So, Vamsidhar Gopal Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Shri Badarayaniruvacha अथ देवर्षिराजन् सम्परेतं नृपात्मजं दर्शयित्वेति होवाच ज्ञातिनामनुशोचताम्. Sri Shukdev Goswami said, my dear King Parikshit, by his mystic power, the great sage Narada brought the dead son into the vision of all the lamenting relatives and then spoke as follows.
Yes, continue, Prabhu.
Shri Narada Uvacha जीवात्म पश्य भद्रम ते मातरम पीतरम च ते सुहृदो बान्धवास्तप्ताः सुच त्वात् कृतया भृशम. Sri Narad Muni said, O living entity, all good fortune unto you. Just see your father and mother, all your friends and relatives are overwhelmed with grief because of your passing away.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, maybe you can read this one also, and the next one Kameshwar Prabhu will take.
Okay, Prabhu. कलेवरं स्वमाविश्य शेषमायुः सुहृदव्रतः भुङ्क्ष्व भोगान् पितृप्रत्तान् अधिष्ठित नृपासनम्. Because of you died untimely, the balance of your lifetime still remains. Therefore, you may re-enter your body and enjoy the remainder of your life, surrounded by your friends and relatives. Accept the royal throne and all the opulences given by your father.
Any reflections on this? These 3 verses? More of information only that way, but yeah.
Interesting that how Narad Muni now he already gave a mantra and like gave the shiksha for practicing devotional service to Chitraketu Maharaj, but now he's giving the like practical demo of like how by calling the Jivatma, and then he will speak about himself once that kid is back into the body. Yeah, so it's very interesting point here.
Yeah, just one thing I can think of here is in the previous end of the previous chapter, Narad Muni gave the mantra, and now by bringing back the child, bringing the child back to life, and the child's preaching, that will give faith to Chitraketu for chanting the mantra. In one sense, if you look at it. So I guess the lesson for us is when we do outreach, we do give the mantra, Hare Krishna mantra, but at the same time, we should also give them the faith to chant the mantra, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah,
anyone
very
has
well
any.
said, Prabhu. Yeah,
Very well said, Prabhu. Very well said. Yeah. Vamshidhar Gopal Prabhu, continue, please.
Prabhu, I was gonna say same thing. Yeah, very nicely connected. Yeah, very well said.
Yeah, because if we don't have faith, then we will not be able to transmit that faith
Yes.
to others. So ultimately, it
Yeah.
comes down to that. So that's why when it is said that when we are doing outreach or preaching or anything, we must practice our own sadhana very, very strictly. Otherwise, we will not be able to save those we are trying to save. It'll just be
Yeah.
superficial and it'll not penetrate.
Yes.
I think Megha had something to say. Is that right, Megha?
Oh, it was
So
very irrelevant. Thanks for noticing. It's okay.
sorry, I didn't notice, Mataji.
No,
Please,
no,
please
it's
tell.
okay. No, it wasn't
No,
relevant. Don't worry about it.
nothing is irrelevant, Mataji. Please share, please share. We want to hear from you.
Yeah, it was a very small thing. So you said like when we say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya like 3 times. So I heard somewhere like the 3 times are basically for 3 kinds of dukkha.
Hmm.
Like sorry, I'm forgetting what these 3 types are. So basically like that's the logic, and that's why in some like in sometimes people also say like Om 3 times. So why like
Hmm.
3 times? So that's the logic that I heard. Like it was very, as I said, like very small thing, irrelevant almost. So yeah.
No. It's important, and it is also the reason, in fact. So uh, there could be multiple reasons to the chanting of any mantra. So definitely, this is definitely a reason. I find no doubt or irrelevancy in that, in that sense. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Yeah. So I think it's 9:57. We have 3 minutes. So
Can you go to 6, 16, 18, 19? Just 1 second. Nupur just found the secret mantra. So she wants. It's
oh, six. So two verses. Okay, sorry.
16, 18-19.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. So you go down.
Yeah.
Narada, you get through the following mantra.
Jai Jai Jai.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. So you want to do the honors of reading it, Nupur?
Right.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, please, please.
Yeah. Om Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhimahi Pradyumna Aniruddhaya Nama Sankarshnaya Cha Namo Vijnana Matraya Paramananda Murtaye Atma Ramya Sanataya Shantaya Nivritta Dvaita Drishtaye. Translation: Narad gave Chitraketu the following mantra: O Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, who are addressed by the Omkar, Pranava, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. O Lord Vasudev, I meditate upon you. O Lord Pradyumna, Lord Aniruddha, and Lord Sankarshana, I offer you my respectful obeisances. O reservoir of spiritual potency, O supreme bliss, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who are self-sufficient and most peaceful. O ultimate truth, one without a second, you are realized as Brahmana, Paramatma, and Bhagwan, and are therefore the reservoir of all knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mother. So
Thank you.
it's nice.
Thank you, Nupur.
Thank you, Nupur, for finding this. I don't know how you found it.
Yeah.
She finds very unfindable things, actually, I've noticed.
Yes. Okay, on that note, I just wanted to, so we can end here. And I just wanted to congratulate Megha Mataji, because she successfully defended her PhD thesis this week.
Hari bol.
Jai.
So just wanted to congratulate her. It's a huge achievement.
Thank you. Thank you.
And let's all pray for her that whatever is her next chapter in her life will also be very successful. And it was actually a kind of a miracle that happened. She was this last week there were some difficulties and she was able to successfully defend. So
Amazing.
for those of anyway, Megha, you want to say something?
No, as you're saying, right? Like in the situations or difficulties, it was difficult situation. So I mean, you do what you can do. Rest is you can't handle. So like, yeah, I'm thankful.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
you defended this at in British Columbia, University of British Columbia, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And now she'll be moving to Harvard, right, Megha?
Most likely, yes. Yeah,
Harvard for postdoc.
yeah, yeah.
Amazing. So Harvard is near New York, right?
Boston.
Yes,
Boston.
that's the highlight.
Oh, yeah.
That's the highlight.
Ah,
The highlight is to be close to New York. That's what she's saying.
Yeah.
oh, Jai, Jai. We really miss you, Mataji. Please come. Yes, and
Yes.
so many more devotees have joined the family. Sundari Sakhi Mataji, Manishika Mataji, Nupur Mataji will be joining soon. Yeah.
So Megha Mataji will be joining us for this thing, New Vrindavan Yatra.
Jai. Okay, I was just
Jai.
going to ask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it works out, nothing is like sure yet, like visa status and everything else. I hope. I don't know.
Everyone, most of the devotees on this group will be joining for the Yatra actually. Sundari Sakhi Mataji, Manishika Mataji, Nupur Mataji, everyone will be there. Sindhu
Yeah.
Kanya Mataji and Vamshidhar Gopal Prabhu will miss you both, but you'll be in
Yeah.
our thoughts.
You will miss also. Yeah.
And Sadhu Sangha also, Prabhuji. On that note, so for the next 2 Tuesdays, we won't be having the Bhagavatam classes because next week Chaitanya Charan Prabhu will be staying at our home and we have a program next Tuesday night. So there's no way that we can have class next Tuesday. And then the following Tuesday, we'll all be in the flight. Several of us are leaving to Sadhu Sangha, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, Nitya, then Manishika, Vallabh Chaitanya Prabhu. So we're all going in the flight. So we won't be able to have class the following Tuesday also. But after that, we'll start again. So the next class will be on May 30th.
May
Sindhu Kanya
30th.
and Vamshidhar Gopal Prabhu, are you joining Sadhu Sangha as well? Or not?
No, Mataji. No, we are
Okay.
not coming for some reasons. Yeah.
Okay.
And I wanted to share something, Prabhu, Mataji, with all of you.
Yes, please.
Yes, Prabhu. So we bought a house in San Jose and requesting all of your prayers.
Jai Hari Bol.
We're moving in on 13th. Yeah, and requesting all of your prayers that we can utilize that in Krishna's service. And all of you are so welcome and invited. We would love. Like, please come. It's yeah.
There's a lot of empty rooms in our house,
Yeah.
so we would like to fill them with
Lot of
devotees.
rooms, so yeah, stay with us.
Yeah, very, very nice. Very wonderful
There is
news.
no doubt that the house is lucky to be blessed with you.
So we'll all come only on one condition, Prabhu. Bread pakoras. You have to make bread pakoras.
Lot of those. All 3 days, only bread pakoras.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So happy for.
So
That's
happy.
kind of the reason why we're not going to Sadhu Sangha. with
Oh, you're
all
moving
the
at that time.
moving.
Okay.
We'll already be moved in, but expenses and all with some travel.
Got it. Yeah.
would be difficult. So
Yes.
My
Yes.
parents are also coming next month, so there's many things. Yeah, so that's why.
Wonderful.
Nice. Very.
My manager always tells me that there are 3 things that are most stressful in anyone's life. And I was surprised what those 3 things are. Do you know what those 3 things are? Anyone here?
Moving, divorce, and I forgot the third one.
Changing jobs.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I heard he said moving, changing jobs, and having a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
We should have his class, Prabhu. Yeah, that's